This is your protein intervention. So many people right now are far from eating the amount of protein that they should for their proper health function, and probably you included. We're going to talk about why this nutrient is non-negotiable for building your body, your brain, your beauty, your energy. And I'm also going to give you a full breakdown of the key benefits of protein, the dangers of not eating enough, the myths around it that need to die, and practical ways that you can include more protein, animal or plant-based, into your diet. We're also going to explore if protein powder is worth the investment. It has hit me in the face recently that the vast majority of people around me, or even living in my country and so many others, have a protein intake that is so far from the amount that they should actually consume to be healthy individuals. I calculated how much I needed precisely, personally, and learned more about protein intake, and I realized I wasn't eating enough of it, even though I was still eating more than people around me. And I directly linked in my mind some populations' lack of protein and the rise of obesity rates in Europe, among other factors. But I think most girls especially are not eating enough of it because of really weird myths around protein, like the one that is going to make you gain weight, which is the stupidest thing ever, and that is the literal opposite of the truth. So if you're tired, bloated, moody, or maybe weak, foggy, or struggling to change your body, this might be a wake-up call that you didn't even know you needed because not a lot of people talk about it. As usual, we're going to start with the knowledge that you need to know to motivate you to eat more protein, because I think when you know the benefits of a certain health habit, it makes you way more motivated to actually use it and start doing it. So why is protein so important? Well, first of all, your body, it's not only made of protein, but cells are partly made of protein. So you need them to grow muscles, but not only. It's not just for gym bros. It's for your brain health and focus, because protein contains amino acids. And these are needed to make neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which you've probably heard of before, which help you focus and regulate your mood, and it helps you feel calm and happy. So as a result, low protein intake can probably and will probably lead to brain fog, irritability, and a bad mood. So, of course, the most famous one is muscle strength, metabolism. Your muscles are made of protein. So without enough of it, you lose muscle even if you're active, even if you're working out, which is crazy. And the less muscle that you have, the slower your metabolism is going to be. If you want to learn more about metabolism, I highly recommend that you check out my episode about that. The more fatigued you are going to be, the more you're going to have trouble burning calories, and the harder it is staying lean. So protein will help you recover from workouts faster, injuries as well, and it's what makes you literally stronger. Then for girls, not only girls care about this, but, hair, skin, nails, collagen, keratin, and elastin are all proteins which make your hair, your skin, and your nails. So without enough protein, your skin loses firmness, your nails get brittle, and your hair can thin out or even fall out. So if you want glowy skin or thick, shiny hair and strong nails like everybody else, right? Stop doing the 15-step hair routine. Just eat protein. Keep a simple, minimal hair and skin routine and eat your beauty. It sounds kind of weird, but it's true. The other point that I want to make is hormones and immune system. Most hormones like insulin and the growth hormone are made from amino acids. So your immune cells need protein to fight off sickness. If you find yourself constantly fighting colds or breakouts, that's another sign to check your protein intake, which might and probably is low. Then there's blood sugar balance and cravings. A lot of people talk about cravings and snackings, and it's okay to crave stuff. It is, but also if you're constantly craving things, there's probably something wrong with what you're eating. Because protein is going to slow down your digestion and keep you fuller for longer. Same for fiber. But protein is going to stabilize your blood sugar, which means no more cravings, no hunger between meals, no more snacking. If you're always hungry or obsessed with food, adding protein to your meals will change everything. And I noticed myself that the second I ate more protein, within 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks, I was already eating a bunch of protein before. I was already starting on a good level, but I added even more. And immediately, I had better skin, I was less bloated, and I had no desire whatsoever to snack in between meals. I was just not hungry or hangry at all. I was just enjoying my life. I didn't care anymore I wasn't obsessed with food anymore. Not that I was that much before, but then there's better sleep and recovery. Because certain amino acids like tryptophan helps regulate sleep cycles and melatonin production. Your body repairs itself while you sleep using the protein that you ate during the day. There are as well many dangers if you're not eating enough protein. The following list are all signs to help you recognize this lack, because you might feel weak, tired all the time, foggy or emotionally unstable, even when it's not around your period. You might be constantly hungry or craving sugar. You could be losing hair or having more acne or breakouts than normal. Maybe you're not gaining muscle fast enough. You're not seeing tangible results even after all your workouts. Or maybe you've had a slower recovery from an injury. Or maybe you're bloated all the time and your bowel movements are fewer than once a day or every other day. A person with a healthy digestion has daily bowel movements. Listen to the gut health episode that I made if that's something you need to improve, because that episode has just everything you need to know to improve your gut health. Now let's move on to the interesting practical part. How much protein do you actually need? Most people, especially teen girls or women, are way under eating protein, but not only, also men and boys are way under eating protein. I think it depends in which country, but especially the countries that I lived in, so France, Finland, and basically a bunch of, countries in Europe are not eating enough protein. I think the general rule of thumb that you hear everywhere is that you need about 30 grams of protein per meal, but it all depends and falls onto how much you exercise and your overall activity level. It's obvious, but a bodybuilder and a 15-year-old girl are not going to need the same amount of protein. So you can calculate it yourself, but it can be quite hard because there's a lot of factors you need to include, like, how much you exercise and all those things. But if you want to know approximately how much protein you need easily without doing a bunch of hard calculations, because there's entire books that are written on how to calculate that. But if you want approximately the number, you can use a ChatGPT prompt that I've actually mentioned in my ChatGPT episode, how to use ChatGPT to upgrade your life. You can also check that one out if you're interested. But this prompt is, you're going to enter how much you weigh. So I weigh, insert your weight in kilograms or pounds. and insert your age and describe your activity level in detail, like how active you are, how many steps you take a day, if that's something you know, how many times you work out, what types of workout. Then tell your gender, that's important as well. And then say, I want to know roughly how much protein I should eat daily for optimal health, energy, and body composition goals. If you prefer to do the calculation yourself, do so, because ChatGPT can over or underestimate it. It overestimated mine by giving me a recommendation of 120 grams per day, but by calculating it myself, I know that I need approximately 1.5 or 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which for me is around 90 or 108 grams of protein per day, so a bit more than 30 grams per meal. And when I say that I calculated it myself, well, it's a bit easier for me because my dad is a dietitian, so he calculated it for me. Not all of us have dads or family members or partners that are dietitians. So if you have no idea where to start, the ChatGPT prompt can be a good idea. Now, I want you to keep in mind that your government's recommendation for protein might certainly be way lower than what your body actually needs. There are several reasons for this. In the US, some researchers argue that recommendations are formed from old data and ignores the needs of certain groups. Others argue that there has been a rise in trends towards plant protein and eating less animal protein, pushed by various medias, encouraging people to become more vegetarian, vegan, etc., which we didn't see 50 years ago. So, the rise of these trends. Plus, you'll notice that countries who recommend low amounts of protein have very high rates of obesity, like Finland or the US, who have approximately like 30 to 33%, which is huge, literally huge. For this episode, I was reading a Harvard Medical School study about protein powder, and it was saying the government's recommendation for protein, and it was so much lower than what I actually needed. I think it was around 50 grams for women and about like 63 grams for men. It did not exceed 90, which is 90 is kind of like not the bare minimum, but around 30 grams of protein is the rule of thumb. So 90 grams per day. So that was way lower than what you should actually consume. Now it's time to get into the more practical, easy ways to get more protein with both animal and plant-based options without including processed, shitty foods that are not optimal, because processed vegan foods have a bazillion additives and salt and, a lot of things that are not good for you, because the plant-based vegan things are very processed. If you are vegan, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that if you want to buy these products, you have to consider that they have a lot of additives, and you can be vegetarian and not eat processed foods and just, use lentils and that kind of stuff as your protein intake. But it is important to consider that lentils and beans have a lower protein percentage than animal proteins. So we're going to start with the animal protein options, starting with eggs. Eggs have approximately 6 grams of protein each. So to get your correct proportion of protein using only eggs, you would need 5 of them. The protein proportion that you would need for one meal, 5 eggs, which is too much for one morning, obviously. That's why you need to include extra protein in your breakfast to fill the remaining 24 grams if you eat one egg like me. So I'm going to use the, 30 grams per meal recommendation here, but of course it's personal for everybody. Then one chicken breast is about 30 grams of protein per serving. Salmon, sardines, tuna in one can is approximately 30 grams of protein. It depends, of course, how the tuna was prepared, what kind of brand it is. It varies slightly, but it's approximately 30 grams. Then you have Greek yogurt, which is approximately 15 to 20 grams of protein per portion. Cottage cheese is rich in protein as well, organic cheese, but it's not enough. It's kind of like to add a bit of protein to your meals, but you can't obviously eat only cheese. You won't get enough protein if you just eat cheese. Then liver is really high in nutrient density, and beef or lamb is also really high. But it really depends on like the species and the type of meat that you're eating. But I think the rule of thumb that my dad has told me before was that the piece of protein that you're eating should be approximately the size of the palm of your hand. And, you see a lot of people on the internet also recommending that. I saw recently a YouTuber who was doing nutrition-inspired videos where she would show her meals, and she said that it was approximately the size of your palm. Then I have a list of minimally processed plant-based options, which there's no fake meat, just whole, real food. Lentils have approximately 18 grams of protein per cooked cup. Then chickpeas have approximately 40 grams per cup. Then tempeh, which is this type of fermented soy, has 20 grams plus per cup, depending on how it was prepared. Tofu in moderation is fine. It's not extremely rich, but it's a good alternative to tempeh. Then quinoa has approximately 8 grams per cooked cup. Chia seeds, complete protein, but of course, you can't just eat like a kilo of chia seeds, but seeds like hemp seeds, for example, which have 10 grams of protein per 3 tablespoons, are easy to sprinkle on everything like salads, meat, veggies, if you like that, of course. Then there's edamame, which is this type of immature soybeans, which have 17 grams of protein per cup. And then we have pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, which are a great addition that you can sprinkle on your meals and snack, or you can snack on it even. And black beans and white beans are also a great source of plant protein, with approximately 14.6 grams of protein per cup. So that's quite high. And for a protein-rich snack before or after your workout, you can add hemp seeds to smoothies or oats or just meals or salads. You're not going to eat a meal, perhaps not before or after your workout, but if you're having a little snack, you can add them on it. Or you can stir Greek yogurt into oats or eat it savory with olive oil. Or you can add cucumber and make the viral cucumber creamy salad. That's a good idea. You could add cottage cheese to scramble eggs or toast. Or you can make this one recipe from Camilla and Julie, which is a couple that have a YouTube channel. And Camilla did that one recipe of these little oat breads that are very rich in protein with like lots of eggs and oats and cottage cheese, which are really healthy. I've tried them several times and they're delicious. I highly recommend you try her recipe. It's super simple too. You can use chickpeas or beans in curries or roasted with spices. I use chickpeas everywhere, honestly. It's really practical. Also, before or after a workout, I usually sometimes make hummus. You can make a white bean hummus as well. You can eat it on toast or with you can cut cucumber or carrots raw into these little sticks and eat it with that. It's really good. Or as a meal, you can make bean soup. There's countless recipes that you can make with beans and chickpeas, etc. You can also make a high-protein snack box. I've made simple things like boiled eggs, cheese cubes, almonds, hummus. You're not 5 years old. You know how to make a snack box, but I'm just giving you ideas. I also want to make a quick side note on protein powder, because protein powders have gained a lot of popularity recently, and basically what they are is they are powdered forms of protein that can come from different plants like soybeans, peas, eggs, rice or potatoes, or I think the one that I've seen the most in shops is milk, it's called whey protein. And it's typically not recommended for teens under 18 years old. Even though certain teens may benefit from protein powder, it really depends on your life situation. Our life situations are all unique. But too much of it should be avoided by people with decreasing kidney functions. That's just a little side note. And if you need protein powder due to a certain reason or your lifestyle or for whatever reason, choosing a high quality brand is really important. Most of the time they're more expensive, that is to consider, but some cheaper brands might have added sugars, artificial flavorings, or other toxic chemicals that you really want to avoid. And ones with lots of added sugars might cause weight gain or an unhealthy spike in blood sugar. on that study from Harvard that I was reading, which kind of threw me off because of the bad protein recommendations I saw there. But it did have, from that study from Harvard Medical School, it did say, and I'm going to read their quotes to make this more simple. I'm not going to rephrase it. So start of quotes, researchers screened 134 products for 130 types of toxins and found that many protein powders contained heavy metals like lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury, bisphenol A, BPA, which is used to make plastic, pesticides or other contaminants with links to cancer and other health conditions. Some toxins were present in significant quantities. For example, one protein powder contained 25 times the allowed limit of BPA. End of quote. That could be because toxins in soil could be absorbed by plants, making the protein powder. Plus, protein powders are not regulated, so manufacturers don't have that many restrictions when it comes to making them. But after this scary side note, let me say that definitely not all protein powders are like that. Hence the importance of investing in a high-quality, chemical-free protein supplement if it is needed by your body. Otherwise, you can stick to high-quality, low-fat whole foods for protein. For the fourth chapter of this episode, I want to talk about bullet journal tips to make protein a natural habit. Because as a bullet journal obsessed girl, I had to mention easy ways to organize, prep, and stay accountable to actually make the goal happen and feel aesthetic and romanticized. On my Instagram, I post a lot of bullet journal spread ideas that you can inspire yourself from. I posted a while ago this double spread with at least like 80 recipe ideas that are high protein and high veggie, high fiber, that you can use to make your meal prep so much easier, and a whole lot more. So I really recommend you check that out on the Supernova Shift podcast on Instagram. But the first step here for protein intake is to make a meal prep double spread on any journal and write your weekly protein intakes for each meal with an attached grocery list. Then notice how you feel. You can track how much protein impacts your mood, your hunger, your recovery by making a dedicated mood tracker. It doesn't have to be super aesthetic. It can be really simple as long as it's clean and that you can easily write it in there. You can also challenge yourself to hit your protein target for 7 days, reward yourself, notice how you're feeling better, and move on to 7 more days. And after little as 2 weeks, you will notice the shift in your mood, your bloating, your skin, and a whole lot of other things. So you can write your goal, track everything in a Bujo spread, and journal a little bit about how you feel, the shifts you might see or feel, how you find the journey, etc. So, protein is the foundation. It's your body building material, beauty, strength, focus, happiness. It all really starts here. And if you've been under eating it, this is your call to step it up, because you don't need to feel guilty or have an obsession with food. Just understand and then act. Be proactive and start right now. The first step for you right now is to calculate how much protein you really need using ChatGPT or doing it yourself or by asking your doctor or your dietitian. After that, list your best protein options that suit your lifestyle, whether you're a vegetarian or not. Write your best options for protein. Then make the fun part, in my opinion. Make a Pinterest board of your favorite recipes centered around your chosen protein. Then make a grocery list for the week by looking at a quick meal prep Bujo spread that you made. And after your shopping, all you have to do is cook yourself nourishing meals. That was the most complicated part, and honestly, you can romanticize it and make it fun and make it girly, and then it all happens really nicely. Let me know what your favorite protein-rich meals are in the comments, or tag me on Supernova Shift Podcast on Instagram. If this episode opened your eyes, please comment down below. I'll see you next Monday in the same place and the same energy for an episode on bullet journaling.